Hi guys, it's Ankita. Welcome to another video. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. I talk about books here, review them, recommend them. So if that's something that you're looking for, consider subscribing to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about chapters 27 through 40 of All Creatures Great and Small. This is part of the spring read along. If you're not aware of the spring read along, check out the link in the description down below and also the schedule. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. In chapter 27, Siegfried decides to perform an operation spectacularly. He wants it to be visually appealing, refined. So when he's removing this wire from Colonel Merrick's cow's stomach, everything goes wrong and it is the messiest surgery ever. I'll be honest, this one did make me really queasy. Let me know what you thought about that particular surgery. Chapter 28 is when poor Herriot faces an ethical dilemma when Cranford calls him over to investigate his cow, which he is certain has died because of lightning strike. But it turns out that when Herriot gets there, he does not see any indications of her having died because of the lightning strike, and he is certain it's because of some other condition. But Cranford wants him to write a certificate saying that she died because of lightning strike, because then he'll be able to claim insurance money. However, Herriot doesn't want to do that, obviously, because that's not the case with this cow. So he takes this cow to, what's the guy's name? Jeff Malik, who is the knacker man, right? And he is also a funny fellow because he has seen so many carcasses and so many dead bodies of animals. He thinks he knows the best. He knows better than the vet. So he makes a diagnosis that the cow has died of lung disease. Herriot is like, nope, open the heart, and then there it is. There's an abnormal growth in the heart, and that's the cause of the death. And Cranford is not happy about this because he has lost the cow and the insurance money as well. Next, chapter 29, we have Tristan. Whenever Tristan is involved, something's obviously gonna go wrong, and that's what happens in this one. Yeah, this is the chapter in which Tristan mixes up the ointment with the feces that needs to go to the lab, and instead he mails the feces to Cranford to apply to the boar's back and sends the ointment to the lab. And Cranford is not happy about it, and he presses legal charges, or he threatens to press legal charges. Chapter 30. Chapter 30 is one of my favorite chapters in this, from 27 through 40. I really love Tricky Boo. I love Mrs. Pumphrey. Poor Tricky is now overweight because Mrs. Pumphrey has absolutely pampered him and feeds him all the time, all these sweet things and cakes and everything, right? And Herriot is like, nope, I'm not having any of this. So Tricky's gonna come and stay with him for a fortnight at the practice at Scaledale House. And we see a different side of Tricky, right? There are no luxuries and comforts at Scaledale House, and Tricky is free to roam about with the dogs, which is absolutely something that a dog should be doing, right? Dog-like things. And Tricky quickly recovers. Chapter 31 is the incident of the striped pajamas. If I was in Herriot's place, I would have been embarrassed, so humiliated. I would have moved out of the place. The guy decides to not change out of his pajamas because what's the point? He has woken up in the middle of the night. He's just gonna go to the farm and but he's wearing these like funny striped pajamas, and when he goes to grab a coffee, people there think that he might be an escaped convict. Chapter 32 was something that I found very realistic, and obviously these are memoirs, and I like how James Herriot gives us a well-rounded view of his practice, like early days of being a vet, because it's clear how he misdiagnoses the cow in chapter 32. He misdiagnoses, he thinks that the cow has a broken pelvis. But it's funny how the cow then gets up and moves around. A great insight into how sometimes young vets can misdiagnose. That's just the reality. On page 246 in the same chapter, this is the Pan Macmillan edition, in which I love how the farmers have all gathered together to help lift the cow up so that she can stand and move around. And all of these farmers, Herriot says, they were in festive mood, grinning, confident, full of helpful advice, as farmers always are with somebody else's animals. Chapter 23. What a surprise! Mrs. Pumphrey has a new piglet, and it's funny how James couldn't believe it, but you know what? He has a second nephew, and now he's gonna get more favors. Chapter 34. Mr. Grier, right? Am I saying that name right? Hopefully I am. Well, Mr. Grier sends Herriot to treat this cow, right? It's a cow, right? And he advises him to fix the cow in a certain method, although Herriot doesn't want to do that. But Herriot is like, okay, I'll do whatever Grier's gonna say because he's more experienced. He does that and it doesn't work. And the farmer is not happy. So Grier comes on the scene, and then he does the same thing that Herriot had initially proposed, and it works. Found it so annoying that Grier does not admit at all that Herriot was right in the first place. So much pride. He's just not a pleasant man, is he? He's a grumpy man, and his wife is also always around, making sure he's working, like constantly monitoring and hovering around him, which must have been really, really annoying. In chapter 35, Herriot attends to a certain Mrs. Mallard's dog. Mrs. Mallard, am I correct in assuming that she is Grier's mistress? Isn't that what the other person insinuates in this chapter? Correct me if I'm wrong, but oh my goodness. No wonder Herriot was so happy to get out of that place. Chapter 36 was so heartwarming. So Herriot is called at Terry Watson's farm to treat a cow who is having issues with milk. And so Herriot suggests that Terry rub some ointment on the udder, and when the next day when Herriot checks on Terry, he's there still massaging it, and the cow is able to pass milk. It seems like Terry was a really hardworking man and really cared about his animals. Chapter 37 is when we see Siegfried being his inconsistent self. He advises Herriot to be more economical when he is stitching up a dog at his surgery. And so when later on at the farm, when Herriot starts stitching up the horse as Siegfried had advised him, Siegfried loses his patience and he takes over. And if I would have been in Herriot's place, I wouldn't have been as patient. I don't know how long I would have put up with Siegfried's inconsistent, erratic behavior. Yeah, next we see a farmer who absolutely loves his pigs, right? And that is Mr. Worley. Am I saying that right? Yeah, Mr. Worley. His pig Marigold is unwell, and he calls Herriot to treat her. And when James is done treating the pig, he then gets a drink. And it's funny how these sketchy characters, they make him buy a drink, and then once that is done, they kind of move away from him. Chapter 39, classic Tristan. This is another one of my favorite chapters. I think I really look forward to chapters with Tristan in action, as well as chapters with Tricky Boo. And Tristan does not disappoint in this one. He first smashes a car into a hut, and later on he crashes Siegfried's car into an oncoming car. Very entertaining. Chapter 40 is kind of like, it foreshadows things that are going to happen in the future. And yeah, he meets this lovely girl Helen, and they spend a lot of time talking, or rather James talks and she listens. I did enjoy some of the chapters in this. Like I said, one of the incidents that takes place really made me queasy, but I'm really getting a sense of what life was as a country. But anyway, let me know what are you enjoying the book so far. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like this video, and I'll see you next time. Until then, take care. Bye bye.